This is the Playing for 90 Soccer Show. Never a bad time to celebrate, especially in the soccer world. There's always something to celebrate, whether it's an amazing goal, a new signing, or just the pure drama that the soccer world provides. I am your host, Baxter Colburn. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Playing for 90 Soccer Show. I am one of the editors over at playingfor90.com, a general soccer news website, a part of the Fan-Sided Network. We cover literally anything and everything in the soccer world. We have MLS, we've got NWSL, EPL, Scottish Premier League. We even cover Liga MX occasionally. We've got your Champions League fix. We've got the U.S. men's and women's national team. You name it, we cover it, and in a numerous amount of ways as well. So always a great time. Check us out on Facebook, Playing for 90, or look at us on Twitter, at Playing for 90. As well as go to our website, playingfor90.com, F-O-R, not to the number 4. So playingfor90.com. And then also we are on iTunes. You can find this show over on iTunes. Just search the Playing for 90 Soccer Show and you will see it. Then you can also tune in on Tuesday nights as well when one of the other editors on the site, Phil Nagley, hosts his weekly soccer show. He brings in a lot of terrific guests. There are usually personalities in terms of writers for many different Major League Soccer teams, and Phil does a terrific job of bringing in the biggest and brightest stars and reporters in that regard. So make sure to check out that show as well. So, are you ready to talk some soccer? Because I know I am. I've got my coffee. I've had a good day so far. I am ready to talk some soccer. It's been a while. I miss you guys when we only do this show once a week, occasionally twice if there's a ton of craziness going on, but because there is the schedule that we do have, I'm only able to usually do it once a week, especially with all my college stuff going on. But anyway, looking around the soccer world, there is a lot of fun stuff going on. And to start it off, I like to start off the show with just some general soccer news, and then we dive into more stuff as the show goes on. So starting off today, I was perusing MLSsoccer.com, and one of the headlines that stuck out to me is that Saint Iker might be coming to Major League Soccer in the next few years. For those of you that don't know who that is legendary Real Madrid and Spain national team goalie Iker Casillas. He has gone on record to say that he would like to come to Major League Soccer, which is interesting because right now you look at Real Madrid, they are in the process of potentially working out a trade deal with Manchester United that would send Manchester United goalkeeper David De Gea, oh my gosh, De Gea, I can't speak English today or Spanish for that matter, from Manchester United over to Real Madrid, and Real Madrid would send Gareth Bale, I can say that because he's Welsh, over to Manchester United. And if that's the case, then Real Madrid is going to have 4 goalies on their roster, and they're going to probably, with Casillas being one of them, that kind of sets the tone saying, look, Casillas, you've given us a lot of great years, a lot of great memories. You've won us some Champions League titles. You've won the World Cup. It's time to move on. And rightfully so. But anytime you look at a player that is at the age that they are at, Casillas is currently 33 years old. His contract with Real Madrid does not run out until the end of the 2016-2017 European season. So at that point in time, he'll be at least 34, 35, which as a goalkeeper, you can still have some life left in you. But similar to being a goalkeeper as it is a running back in football, your body takes a beating consistently, and it's not always the easiest thing to stay in shape. Yes, you're not doing as much running as a lot of other people on the field, but normally when goalkeepers are called into action, it is a grueling task that really exerts all parts and facets of your body. So, if Casillas does make the move over to Major League Soccer, it will be very beneficial, I'm sure, for whatever team is lucky enough to pick him up. But at the same time, a 35-year-old Iker Casillas, continuing the stereotype of Major League Soccer as being, what is it? Say it with me. A retirement league. Exactly. A retirement league. Why? Why does Iker Casillas need to come to Major League Soccer? Just to give MLS the opportunity to sell a few jerseys and make a little bit more cash? Well, that's great. I understand the big business aspect of it, but still, people continue to complain of we need to continue to grow Major League Soccer. Well, then don't bring in 30 5-year-old goalkeepers that might have one of the most recognizable names in soccer. But if you want to grow the league, bringing Casillas in is not going to really help that. Anyway, done with my little rant. Looking around at other news in the soccer world, just as general information, you also will probably notice that your favorite teams are back at preseason soccer across the Major League Soccer world. They are either down in Arizona or they are in Florida. I know when I lived down in Florida, the Chicago Fire actually trained in Fort Myers at Ave Maria University, which is just about 40 minutes north of where I like to call home. So that was always kind of cool, getting able to go in and see them practicing. And they actually got to watch a preseason match between the Fire and the Seattle Sounders. So that was really cool. I got to see guys like Freddie Montero and Casey Keller before they departed from their respective team in terms of the Seattle Sounders. So some good stuff coming up. When we get into the Major League Soccer section, we're going to talk about Juan Agudelo. We're going to talk about some of the latest signings, and then we're going to jump into some other fun stuff. This is the Playing for 90 Soccer Show. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Playing for 90 Soccer Show. Baxter Colburn, your host. A interesting occurrence happening in Major League Soccer. As of today, the New York Red Bulls getting ambitious. A lot of people are really upset by this move, but I think it's a terrific idea, honestly. You look at what the New York Red Bulls just did today. They are doing what MLSsoccer.com is calling a blockbuster trade. So the New York Red Bulls sent Ambrose Oyango and Eric Alexander to the Montreal Impact in exchange for Felipe and the number 1 allocation spot. Immediately, as soon as this deal went through, there was rioting in the streets. People were upset. I'm sure people were getting into bar fights. This was just awful. But then, Red Bull fans, before you decide to burn me at the stake, think about this. Why would your team trade up for the number 1 allocation spot unless there was a player that they had their eyes on? More importantly, who is that player? Now, the thought right now is that it will be former U.S. men's national team midfielder Sacha Kljestan. Sacha Kljestan spent some time in Major League Soccer. That's where he got his start, playing for Chivas USA, back when Chivas USA was actually kind of decent, but that's been a long time since we know that happened. Anyway, the thought right now is that Sacha Kljestan will more than likely come to Major League Soccer this year, continuing with the influx, the migration that is U.S. men's national team players, whether they are current or former players. They're still all in the system, obviously, but still, they are looking for a rejuvenation in their career, and potentially moving back to MLS is the way to do it. At least that's what they think. So, Montreal Impact, they are desperate for success. They are tired of being the worst team in Canada. They are tired of being the worst team in Major League Soccer. So by bringing in Oyango and Alexander, it definitely gives their midfield a huge boost. Now, Felipe is a great player, and I think he will fit in just perfectly fine in New York, especially if they bring in Kljestan. But you look at Felipe, he'll get the opportunity to play with guys like Tim Cahill if he decides to come back. You look at Bradley Wright Phillips. And then you've got Dax McCarty as well, along with... what's his name? I forgot his name now. Wow. Is it Lloyd? Sam Lloyd? That doesn't sound right. Either way, they've got some good players. Gosh, I'm so sorry. I can't think who that name is right now. Anyway, there's some really good guys the Red Bulls currently have, that if with the addition of Felipe and potentially Sacha Kljestan, who else they decide to bring in with that now that they own the number 1 allocation spot that they might be able to get their hands on. Would you see the Red Bulls trade that number 1 allocation spot to get somebody else that's currently in Major League Soccer? Maybe, but that's very, very far-fetched. in that regards. Anyway, moving on to more news and signings in Major League Soccer. The New England Revolution. I will drink my coffee to them because I love the Revolution. Yay, Revolution. Woo! Anyway, that's good stuff. The New England Revolution are looking at returning their once prized possession he wasn't prized possession, but he was at the team for a year. They're looking at returning another former U.S. men's national team forward, Juan Agudelo. Now, Agudelo was with the team in 2013, and he scored 7 goals and had 1 assist. He also helped the team get into the playoffs where they lost, unfortunately, to Sporting Kansas City the year Kansas City won it all in the in MLS Cup 2013. The Revolution are desperate for forwards. Absolutely desperate. Because during the offseason, head coach Jay Heaps thought it was a great idea to purge the forward spot. He got rid of Tony Taylor. He got rid of Patrick Mullins, who I'm very, very bitter about. He got rid of Jeffrey Castrillon. And then Jerry Bankston, the fan favorite that everybody loves to hate, which you can't blame him. The guy's useless. Anyway, he's on loan right now as well. But even still, New England got rid of a ton of their forwards and was left pretty much with Charlie Davies and Teal Bunbury. But Teal Bunbury found his new home out on the right midfield last season and will probably stay there going into the new season, barring some sort of weird altercation where they bring in a new player that fills that spot, which is not going to happen. So, the New England Revolution, they're hoping to bring in Juan Agudelo. Juan Agudelo would partner with Charlie Davies up top, which would combine for 2 former U.S. men's national team players together. Now, Charlie Davies is in the process of working his way back into Jurgen Klinsmann's good favor so he can get a call-up for something. I mean, obviously the 2018 World Cup is still a far ways away. I'm pretty sure he surpasses the age requirement for the 2016 Olympics. The Gold Cup is coming up, so they might be able to get a call-up for that, but with a team like the U.S. men's national team, I don't want to get too deep into this because we will talk about them later on in the show. Their forward spot is very shaky right now. So maybe Agudelo and Davies end up working out. Maybe that they end up having great chemistry, and they're able to take Major League Soccer by storm. As a Revolution fan, I have no problem with that. None whatsoever. So anyway, looking down the line at the recent trade tracker, courtesy of MLSsoccer.com, for those of you that might not be following this, you can go to MLSsoccer.com, go under News, and then to your left you will see Transactions. Click on Transactions, and then it will bring up a trade tracker. Click on the trade tracker, and you'll be able to follow all of the latest trades that have occurred in Major League Soccer thus far. It goes all the way back to the first trade of the new season, quote-unquote, that saw the New England Revolution get Joe Nasco and a 2015 third-round Super Draft pick after they traded Dimitri Mbongo. That's the other forward I forgot from the Revolution, and Jeffrey Castrillon, along with a second-round draft pick to the Colorado Rapids. So it goes all the way back to December 8th, 2014. Then you can flip all the way up to the most recent, which has been updated with the the New York Red Bulls acquiring Felipe Martins and the number 1 allocation spot for Eric Alexander and Ambroise Oyungo, and international roster spot and allocation money. So check that out. There's some cool stuff in there. Some of the more notable trades, I guess, one of the draft day trades that kind of surprised a lot of people, I feel like, was Marcelo Sarves heading over to the Colorado Rapids. Now, the Colorado Rapids have not been a good team recently. They have they're similar to the Columbus Crew in the regards that they have some great young players like Dylan Powers and Dylan Cerna and Mittens and Parkas and fireplaces and hot cocoa. It's going to be cold in Colorado. He needs to understand that. But anyway, Sarvas will certainly help make Colorado a better team as a whole. Looking through the other things that are going on here in Major League Soccer, an interesting move, I guess, if you're a Philadelphia Union fan. You saw your goalkeeper, Zach McMath, get loaned to the Colorado Rapids in exchange for a second-round Super Draft pick, which was selected and was Eric Bird. So an interesting selection there. Let's see here. Anything else that really jumps out? Obviously, you've been following your favorite teams, I'm sure. But there really hasn't been too many other marquee trades / excitement that has gone on. If you're a Seattle Sounders fan, Eric Zavaleta was traded from the Sounders over to Toronto FC. The Sounders received a 2016 second-round Super Draft pick, and then TFC not just, but they got Eric Zavaleta out of it as well. So, interesting stuff all around. Looking over at playingfor90.com, there's some other things going on. The Chicago Fire have reportedly signed goalkeeper John Bush. For those of you that are fans of the San Jose Earthquakes, you will remember that John Bush was your lovely goalkeeper for many seasons. If you are a player of MLS Fantasy Soccer Manager, John Bush was always one of the best goalkeepers that you could obtain because he had to make a lot of saves, so he got a lot of points because of that, which is you can take that or leave it, I guess. So they've reportedly signed him. He'll more than likely sit behind Sean Johnson unless Sean Johnson looks to be on his way out. But there are always rumors that people like Sean Johnson and Bill Hamid will be headed over to Europe at some point in time, which makes sense that they probably will go. But nothing has been officially established yet. Some sad news for Real Salt Lake fans. João Plata is out 3 to 4 months, which is unfortunate after sustaining an injury. A bad break for Real Salt Lake, yes indeed. Chris Blakely writes about it over at playingfor90.com. João Plata, he has fractured, his fifth metatarsal in his left foot during training on Sunday and will be expected to miss 3 to 4 months of action, which is unfortunate. As one that has used to play the game, the beautiful game, I still play it occasionally, but when I was in college, I actually had that happen to me as well on my right foot. It was not fun at all. Metatarsal bones are very tricky and very delicate since they are not very large. And I ended up having to go that way in terms of being out 3 to 4 months as well. So it's unfortunate, it's painful, but best to Plata, and I hope that he recovers quickly. He's a terrific player, and I was probably going to draft him on my fantasy team this year too, so I might have to wait a few months before I can sign him. Other MLS news, the Seattle Sounders will not be getting new field turf in 2015. I know. Cry about it, Sounder fans, cry about it. It's a sad, sad time. But I can relate to that. Any of us that have ever played on turf know that it can be very detrimental to your legs or your body in general if it is not properly maintained or taken care of in a timely fashion. The current turf, though, at CenturyLink Field was installed prior to the 2012 MLS season. The current state of the turf, unfortunately, as one Chris Blakely calls it, is, quote, an embarrassment to the Sounders and MLS in general. So, with that being said, we'll see exactly what ends up happening. For those of you that might have noticed when you were watching the NFC Championship game between the Green Bay Packers and the Seattle Sounders, I noticed it. I don't know if you did or not. I could still see the soccer lines on the field. That's kind of a test, Gosh, English is not my first language today. That is a true testament to saying that the field does need to get worked on, because you should be able to have a good enough field where you can not see the lines, regardless of what other sports you're playing. Nobody wants to be playing football if you are seeing soccer lines, and no one wants to play soccer if you're seeing football lines. It makes it confusing. People have a hard time not understanding what's going on. So, that's what that is. Talking NWSL when we come back next. Welcome back to the Playing for 90 Soccer Show. I'm your host, Baxter Colburn, on a beautiful sunshiny day here in Wisconsin. I mean, it's like 30 degrees outside, but there's sun. I can see the sun, and that alone, for anybody that lives in the Midwest, knows just how amazing that feat is within itself. Talking NWSL right now, checking out some of the latest headlines and stats, and not even stats, headlines and excitement. around the league, courtesy of NWSLsoccer.com and OrangeInTheOven.com and PlayingFor90.com. So, looking through some of the headlines, the Seattle Reign have re-signed their defender Stephanie Cox. Cox is a terrific, absolutely terrific defender. She helped lead the Seattle Reign not only to the NWSL final in 2014, but she also helped the back line that secured a league low of only 20 goals. They only allowed 20 goals last season, which is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I don't know if it's safe to say that the Seattle Reign are a surefire favorite to win the Cup in 2015. Other teams that will more than likely challenge them, you'll see FC Kansas City, Portland Thorns. Chicago Red Stars have made a lot of good moves recently as well. With the NWSL, that's youth in the last, or 2 seasons ago, it was pretty obvious who the main players were. Portland Timbers and Seattle Reign were like, boom, we're going to be the awesome. Last year it was Seattle and FC Kansas City. Now this season, the league continues to get better and it continues to grow, which is terrific. And even looking here on Twitter, the Chicago Red Stars, their head coach, went out and said that we can play with anybody in the league, which makes sense because the Chicago Red Stars, like I said, they have made some big signings and will really help this season. One thing that a lot of people are confused / interested about to see how it will help, though, or hinder, will be the 2015 Women's World Cup. Because that's great and all that this is a World Cup year, but if you're an NWSL fan and your team harnesses the majority of their points and attacking power from said allocated players to your team, might not turn out to be the best mid-season for you. With that, though, you will notice that when it comes to the new schedule being released, some of the games that people are interested, courtesy of Stephen Conley over at PlayingFor90.com. First game for the U.S. Women's National Team will be on February 8th. It will be 12 p.m. on ESPN2, so you'll be able to check that out. Their friendlies start February 8th and go all the way up until June 16th. Now, most of these games are in a different country. There's going to be games in France and Portugal and England and Canada. So the 4 games that will be taking place within the United States will be April 4th. They will be taking on New Zealand. They will be in St. Louis, Missouri. May 10th, they will be taking on Ireland. That will be at San Jose, California. May 17th, they'll be taking on Mexico at the StubHub Center in Carson, California. And then May 30th, the Korean Republic at Red Bulls Arena. So, a few opportunities if you're a U.S. Women's National Team fan to catch the latest team in regards of who might be going to the World Cup in that regards. So, one more break, and we'll close with some U.S. Men's National Team news. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Playing for 90 Soccer Show. Baxter Colburn here with you as we finish up the final moments of the show here. Just a quick little chat about the U.S. men's national team and everything going on with that. Exciting news for U.S. men's national team fans as the U20 team has qualified for the U20 World Cup, so congratulations to them. They have made certainly a name for them and kind of gives an idea, too, if you are a follower of all things U.S. men's national team, about who exactly is going through to the World Cup in that regards. And just seeing the U.S. men's national team at a smaller level advance is always an exciting thing. Some other news that did come out in terms of the U.S. men's national team. U.S. Soccer named Andres Herzog, the U23 head coach, a longtime loyal assistant of Jurgen Klinsmann, so good for him that he gets that opportunity. Then you also look at players like Jermaine Jones. He received the honor of being American Soccer Now's number one player in their top 100 U.S. men's national team players in their most recent poll or award that they give out. A panel of ASN editors and other distinguished gentlemen and women vote and name their top 100 players in U.S. men's national team at the time. So the final 23-man roster for the two friendlies against Chile and Venezuela have been named by Jurgen Klinsmann. It's an interesting array of players, a literal grab bag, as how I called it in an article I recently wrote at Playing for 90. You look at the three goalkeepers. You have Sean Johnson, John Kempen, and Nick Raimondo. 7 defenders. You've got Matt Beasler, Steve Birnbaum, Matt Hedges, Jermaine Jones, which is weird because he's a midfielder, but he plays defense for the national team. Perry Kitchen, Shane O'Neill, and DeAndre Yudlin. You've got 8 midfielders, which are Michael Bradley, Mix Discarud, Luis Gil, Miguel Ibarra, Lee Wynn, Dylan Serna, Breck Shea, and Will Trapp. Your 5 forwards are Josie Altidore, Clint Dempsey, Chris Wondolowski, Bobby Wood, and Giassi Zardes. Now, I go on to elaborate in my most recent article that if anybody on this roster that you need to be super excited about, it's Giassi Zardes. Zardes had a terrific season in MLS last year. He really had a breakout year in regards of goals he scored, in terms of production, and really emerged as not just some guy on the team. You know, you had players like Landon Donovan and Robbie Keane anchoring the offense, but then you have this young guy named Zardes that continued to sneak up and make a name for himself. So, very impressive from him. It will be interesting to see what the future holds for him as well, and we might even see him wearing the U.S. men's national team colors when it comes to the World Cup in 2018. But that's a long ways away, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, thank you again for tuning into another edition of the Playing for 90 Soccer Show. I'm your host, Baxter Colburn. Remember, check us out on Facebook, Playing for 90. Check us out on Twitter at Playing for 90. We're on iTunes. You can download the show there. Just search the Playing for 90 Soccer Show. And then, of course, you can always find our work at playingfor90.com. For all of us here at Playing for 90, thanks again. Remember, play the beautiful game, do what you love, and always remember that God is a soccer fan.